How did the idea of CDD start?
We knew each other through publications, but we never met until we came to IA to work together.
Well, the idea of CDD started in Washington, D.C. in the mid-90s. Over there, I got exposed to the world of think tanks and strongly felt that Ghana could use a similar institution.
I had a mind of setting up some kind of a center. It wasn't clear to me what exactly, but in the area, something to help promote democracy and good governance. So I walked to Professor Jimenez's house and said, look, I'm quitting IE and I'm thinking of setting up something to help promote governance and democracy in the country. And he smiled and said, oh, is that right? I said, yeah. Quietly, he went over and pulled a paper showing me what he was also trying to do.
There was a gap among the think tanks when it came to research-based advocacy. And so we came in to fill that gap.
So I said, well, if that's the case, then there's no need to duplicate the other. Just come together and set it out. This is what I remember very, very vividly.
This was two fairly young men coming together. And as is unusual for Ghanaians to come together to do a project, it was exciting for me.
You know, Jima is a scholar, also in the same field, so thinking together on this particular project was quite easy for us.
So I was bringing a private sector angle to the institution.
The most extraordinary moment at CDD
was our work with the Ghana Armed Forces towards the transition that changed the government from Rawlings to President Kufuor. So with the elections, that was going to see a change. The challenge for the country was massive. So we decided that it was important in this transition to have the Ghana Armed Forces be reoriented towards the constitutional imperative. Just getting the soldiers to accept the democratic imperative, to accept the change that was inevitable, that for me was a high mark. And we succeeded in doing so.
The most extraordinary moment, I think, was the 10th anniversary, when we reached the 10th milestone. It was quite interesting because we never thought we would last for so long together, and it was quite exciting. And besides, I never thought that we would achieve so much.
The biggest impact I believe the CD has made
is incubation of a number of now highly prominent civil society bodies, including the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, which is the local chapter of Transparency International, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, and then the Afrobarometer.
The biggest impact, I think, has been the ability of the center to influence government policies. Oftentimes, it may appear like the government is not listening, but when you talk to people at the center of governance, you know that, in fact, the pronouncements, the publications, the work of the center really goes far than most people think. The most joyful moment during these years?
The moment the transition from the founding leadership, including myself, to a new leadership was consummated. So the feeling is like how I feel about as a parent, having been involved in giving birth to it, seeing it mature into adulthood, independence, and in this sort of very highly respectable, highly reputable, very competent institution that it has become. And that's my joy. The idea that the institution will live beyond me is great.
Well, the good news is that these new people are actually not new. Most of them work with us from the beginning, like the new executive director. Professor Prempe has been with us from the beginning.
One advice to those who essentially have inherited the institution that some of us were involved in founding is that?
Well, I think they have to stay together and try and make more impact in the elections area, because we still haven't gotten where we want to be.
They should also aim to leave this place in no worse shape than they found it or they inherited it. And ideally, they should leave it in a much, much better place than it is today. Thank you for agreeing to be part of the journey. I would say thank you for your mighty contributions, and thank you for helping building what is now a solid and highly reputable, competent institution.